Welcome to the India at 75 celebrations, organized by the High Commission of India, Kuala Lumpur. Greetings to everyone. We had seen in our former video on the glimpse of Ayurveda that healthy diet and lifestyle are the most important factors for having a hale and healthy life. Recently, I came across this quote from Ayurveda. Medicine is of no need when your food is right. Medicine is of no use when your food is wrong. Unbelievable, right? Is food superior than the medicine itself? Please join me in exploring more on this topic about food. Your food is your medicine with Dr. G. Harini Ramya, Ayurveda physician deputed by the Government of India to Government of Malaysia, presently working at the Traditional and Complementary Medicine Unit, Hospital Rehabilitation Cheras and Hospital Port Dickson.
Good day everyone. Let us start with what Ayurveda says about food or ahara as it is called in Sanskrit. Food not only represents what we eat, but anything that feeds the sense organs is called as food. A good music is food for the ears. A warm massage is food for the skin. A strong, putrid smell is bad food for the nose. So, food is all that is enjoyed or experienced by the sense organs. That is why when Ayurveda advises you to take care of your food, it means all the things enjoyed by the senses. In this video, we will discuss about the food that we eat or called as Anna. At the outset, I want to bust the 5 myths of Ayurvedic diet. 1. Ayurvedic diet is vegetarian. 2. Ayurvedic diet is Indian. 3. Ayurvedic diet is all curries and khichadis. 4. Ayurvedic diet is bland. 5. Ayurvedic diet is impractical. Let us go through each of the myths one by one. 1. Ayurvedic diet is not vegetarian as it is widely believed. Ayurveda mentions about 8 groups of meat sources like that of medium-sized animals, big-sized animals, aquatic birds, all type of aquatic animals, etc. The qualities of each type of meat and its clinical application are also explained in detail in Ayurveda. There are many medicines and food preparations containing meats of different animals that are prescribed for certain conditions. But Ayurveda reserves the regular use of meat to people with more physical activity and also tells us to avoid certain types of meat for regular use. So, let us bust our first myth that Ayurvedic diet is vegetarian. No, it is not. Second, Ayurvedic diet is not Indian. It is universal. Though Ayurveda has originated in India, its principles are not confined to the boundaries of India. Ayurvedic principles are based on the systems of the universe and hence Ayurveda and Ayurvedic diet are universal. You can follow Ayurvedic diet in Antarctica as well as in Sahara. All you have to understand is the basic principle. Third, Ayurvedic cooking is not all curries and khichadis, it is more than those. Since Ayurveda came from India, khichdi has been advertised as the Ayurvedic diet. Though khichdi is actually one of the best forms of comfort food, there are many healthier preparations in Ayurveda. Ayurveda advocates the use of locally available articles for cooking. It stresses on locavore. Let us bust this myth here itself. You can prepare your nasi lemak or wonton or risotto Ayurvedically. All you need to know are the principles of Ayurvedic cooking. The fourth myth, Ayurvedic cooking is not bland, it is tasty. This is one of the most frightening myths about Ayurvedic diet. Many people are scared of Ayurvedic treatment just because the Ayurvedic doctor advises about the diet too much. But in fact, Ayurveda advises you to take a meal containing not 1 but 6 tastes. How can a meal of 6 tastes could be bland? It is time to throw this statement away. And the fifth myth is Ayurvedic cooking is very practical. This is the excuse which we get from many of you. Ayurvedic cooking is fresh, simple, and healthy. All you need is planning. If you prioritize your health, there is nothing easier than a tasty Ayurvedic meal.
That's a great relief, Doctor. Thanks for busting those myths. We thought you would be asking us to take some bland porridge regularly for our health. So tell us, Doctor, why is food is considered as an important factor in Ayurveda?
Food is the source of matter and energy for all the living things. The food you eat becomes the structural component of your body and gives the energy to your body to survive. Food is the factor that has transformed you from the stage of a single celled microscopic organism in the womb of your mother to the stage of multicellular, multisystem, gigantic structure. Food, lifestyle, and behavior are considered to be the primary factors that affect the health of the individual as per Ayurveda. Nowadays, we have started to believe that having diabetes and hypertension by the age of 35 or 40 as normal. We are hearing the cases of heart attack in our family circles so frequently that we have started to discuss which cardiologist is the best in town to consult. And the worst is the case of cancer. We are coming across the incidence of cancer so casually that we have started to believe that it is beyond our control to avoid cancer. Just wake up. No, it is not okay to have diabetes or high blood pressure by the time you are 35. No, it is not normal to undergo an angiogram at the age of 40. And you need not get cancer because your mother had cancer. Due to the change in our food habits and sedentary lifestyle, we have started to believe that many of the avoidable health conditions like diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, stroke, cancer, migraine, joint pain, high cholesterol as predestined ones. It is time to consider and reconsider what we eat and how we live. Stop accepting the disease as fate.
Then, Doctor, do you say that all the diseases are because of our food habits and lifestyle?
Yes, about the 80% of current day health issues are self-made. The remaining 20% are conditions like accidents, injuries, and infections. Though there are other contributing factors like environmental factors, say air, water, toxins, economic factors, income, financial condition, emotional factors like stress, trauma, social factors like family, community, relationship, etc., that are beyond the individual's control or reach. Most of the time, the food we eat and the way we live will either contribute to the causation of a disease or its progression in 80% of the cases. It is intelligent to take charge of things that are under your control rather than suffering when things go beyond your control.
What is the healthy food according to Ayurveda, Doctor?
It is not as simple as saying greens, salads, kale, nuts are the healthy foods. And surprisingly, the healthiest food can become unhealthy when eaten without proper understanding of your digestive status. For example, when a person is having high fever, if you give him a bowl of healthiest raw vegetable salad topped with a healthy olive oil dressing to eat or a power-packed banana milkshake to drink, then the food will worsen his fever and delay his recovery. The food that gives you strength at one point of time may not do the same at another time. Healthy food is subjective. There is nothing like black and white in Ayurveda. There is always a zone of grey which you should be aware.
This seems to be complex. How can I know whether the food is healthy or not?
It might seem so, but it is easy. To understand the action of food, Ayurveda says that there are 8 factors that decide the wholesomeness or otherwise of the food.
What are they, Doctor? Are they easy to identify?
Yes, they are. You just have to pay more attention to the food you eat. The first is Prakriti or the inherent nature of the food article itself. By the term Prakriti or the basic quality, we talk about the taste of the article, its relative digestibility, potency, and action on the doshas. Let us see some examples. Taste. Unripe mango is sour and ripe mango is sweet. Sweet and sour tastes have different actions in the body. Sour taste kindles appetite, whereas sweet taste gives satisfaction. That is why you feel content or full after taking a bowl of ripe mangoes. Relative digestibility. Water gets easily digested when compared to milk or coconut milk. Another example is that you do not get a strong appetite after taking 100 grams of cooked beef when compared to 100 grams of cooked lamb. This is because of their difference in time to get digested. Based on these factors, the nature of the substance varies and therefore its action in the body also varies. Potency. Hot potency articles like peppercorns will stimulate appetite, whereas cold potency items like cold water will quench the appetite. You pay attention to the qualities of each food you eat. The second factor is the method of processing or karana samskara. This factor can modify the nature of the food article. This includes storing after procurement, washing the food article, soaking the food article, churning, blending, powdering, steaming, cooking, frying, fermenting, etc. And also about the containers used for the cooking processes. For example, storing. The freshly harvested rice is difficult to digest than that which is stored for a year because it contains more fresh glucose. And it is for this reason Ayurveda advises that diabetic patients should avoid freshly harvested rice. Next instance is that of cooking. The same meat, when it is steamed and when it is deep fried, can have different digestibility and action, which you might have experienced clearly. Another example is that of milk. The milk is converted into yogurt by the process of fermentation by lactobacillus. This fermentation is one samskara or processing. The qualities of yogurt are completely different from that of milk. This yogurt is churned after adding water and the products are butter and buttermilk. This churning is a samskara which gives us a product, buttermilk, that has different qualities from that of yogurt. The latest mistake which people do nowadays is to heat honey or to add honey to a hot food, like while baking cakes. Ayurveda says that honey should not be heated or used hot because heat will change its chemical structure and may lead to toxic effects. So, we have to understand the process involved in the cooking and plan accordingly. The third important factor is combination or samyoga. The way we combine food articles also change their benefits. Eating fish is healthy, drinking milk is also healthy. But when you eat fish followed by a glass of milk, it is considered as incompatible combination and is said to be the causative factor for skin diseases in Ayurveda. Ask your mother or grandmother about her fish curry. It may have coconut milk, but it will not have cow's milk. At present, what we are doing in the name of innovative cooking or fusion cooking is that we are making incompatible combinations. Our traditional recipes were developed over a period of time and they have right ingredients and combinations. Stick to the core of the traditional recipes without much changes.
Doctor, do you think it is possible to consider these things nowadays?
Hey, please wait. I have not finished my list yet. We have seen only 3 out of 8 factors so far. And for your question, yes, we have to consider these basic things about the food we eat. Let us go to the fourth factor, place or desha. Desha or the place denotes the region of production of the food article and the location of the user. Nature favors the growth or survival of certain living species only in a particular geographical location. Hence, a fruit grown locally has more nutrients required for the local user than any other imported fruits. And that's why Ayurveda advises you to be a locavore. The advantage of being a locavore is that your body gets essential nutrients from the sources that are well accustomed to your system. So, consider the place you live, eat what is grown locally, and reserve the imported exotic ones for occasional use. The fifth factor is quantity or rashi. Quantity or the portion sizes of food articles. The quantity of food article is very important to maintain the Agni or the metabolism. Ayurveda does not burden you with the portion sizes. It advises you to listen to your stomach. It does not define the number of servings, but it gives you a guideline or principle to follow. Understand the nature of your food. Once you understand the nature of your food, be conscious about the following. If you are going to have a heavy meal, eat only up to half of your satisfaction. If you are going to have a light food, take up to the level of your satisfaction. For example, if you are planning to take chicken biryani, take only up to the half of your capacity. If you are planning for a simple rice noodle with carrots and cauliflower, eat it up to your satisfaction. Never eat beyond the level of your satisfaction. Ayurveda says that food taken beyond one's satisfaction turns into toxin, which means that it is capable of harming the body.
What about the quantity of liquids during the meal?
Ayurveda advocates that you have to fill half of your stomach's capacity with solid foods, quarter with liquid food, and rest of the quarter has to be left empty. The best side drink for all type of foods is warm water. Warm water will aid in the digestion of food. No matter whatever food you take, make sure that you are listening to your stomach and not to your mind. The sixth factor is time or kala. Kala represents many aspects of time. It represents the time of the day, time of the year or season, time of life, that is age. The action of food depends upon the time at which it is partaken. Food, even though healthy, can produce bad effects if taken at improper time. For example, eating green salad is considered healthy, but Ayurveda says that greens should be avoided at dinner because they are very hard to digest. Ayurveda restricts the use of curd or yogurt also at night times. Tender coconut water is a refreshing item for summer, but it is better to avoid it during the rainy season. Having two large chunks of fried chicken for dinner by an active 25-year-old is harmless, but the same by a 75-year-old might lead to bad consequences. There is a science in our traditional ingredients and recipes, and they are the result of our many culinary experiments conducted by the physicians of old times. Our duty is to follow the instructions properly. The seventh factor is the most forgotten part of eating. The rules of eating are Upayoga Samstha. Irrespective of your body constitution, you have to adhere to the rules of eating. These rules or guidelines ensure that you receive only the wholesome effects from your food you take and never the unwholesome effects. The first and foremost thing is to take food only when the previous food is digested completely. This is called as Ahara Kala in Ayurveda. How to identify if the previous meal is digested? When you have eliminated your feces and urine, when there is a clarity of senses, thoughts, heart, and when you have clear belching without the taste of the previous food, when you have the enthusiasm to perform your work, when you feel the lightness of your body, when you have good thirst, when you have a strong appetite. These are the signs of good digestion. When you experience these signs, you can be happy that you can go on and have your next meal. But wait, before that, just recollect the time when you had your last meal. What were you doing? Were you experiencing any of these signs?
No, doctor. I didn't observe these signs. They might have been there, I guess. But I had my lunch simply during my lunch hour.
Yes, you would have had your lunch just because it is your lunch hour. Though you had your breakfast late, still you shared the frozen cheesecake from your friend because she had ordered it. and again had your lunch during your lunchtime. Or probably you had your dinner with double margarita cheese pizza last night and have not cleared your bowels in the morning. Still, you would have taken bread and omelette for your breakfast, though you were experiencing heaviness and fullness of your stomach. This is the crucial part that has to be concentrated before even planning about what to eat. The main reasons why we do not experience these signs nowadays are: 1. We are eating to our mind satisfaction. 2. We are overeating to our stomach satisfaction. 3. We are eating as per the time schedule irrespective of the time of hunger. 4. We are not eating when there is good hunger. 5. We do not analyze the food articles before we eat them. Observe these signs for the good digestion before you have your next meal.
Are there any other rules for eating?
Yes, apart from the time of eating, you have to concentrate on 3 aspects of eating: getting prepared before eating, general qualities of the food, and the act of eating itself. You have to bathe before taking your food. Ayurveda advocates that bathing should be strictly avoided after eating for at least 3 hours. For lunch, you have to clean your feet, hands, and face before eating. Attend to your natural urges. Never eat or drink while controlling your urge to urinate or defecate. Follow the instructions according to your religious belief before eating. You have to ensure if your dependents like children and parents have had their food. These are the simple preparatory steps before eating which can be practiced by everyone. Next is the general qualities of food. Whatever might be the food, irrespective of the culture and cuisines, please make sure whether it is accustomed to you. Accustomed foods are more beneficial to the body rather than unaccustomed healthy food. For instance, though salmon has more omega-3 fatty acids, it will not be useful if a vegetarian user tries it. His body is not acclimatized for a non-vegetarian food. He may develop some problems if he takes salmon. So, take food that your body is accustomed to. The food should be clean, not contaminated with any unwanted things like hair, insects, etc. The food should be wholesome or healthy. Snacks are one of the most unwholesome foods in our time. The food should be oily or moist. It does not mean that oil or cheese should ooze out of it. It means that it should be cooked in sufficient quantity of fat or oil medium so as to get the fat soluble nutrients. The food should be warm. This is one of the important things we forget. Though cold or refrigerated articles can be had during summer or during the noon, the habitual use of refrigerated items is unwholesome and should be avoided by the person who seeks health. The food should be light or easy to digest.
By easy to digest, do you mean that I should avoid meat, doctor?
No and yes. If you are planning to have meat or animal protein, you have to understand their nature. Certain types of meat have to be avoided for regular use. Some of them are good for regular use. We can see them in a little while. The food should contain all the 6 tastes. Just think of your lunch menu. Chicken rice with sambal and long beans. These dishes are primarily spicy, tangy, and sweet. And of course, they have salt. By consuming this type of meal day after day, you are promoting the accumulation of certain Panchamahabhutas in the body, as Ayurveda considers that each taste is made up of 2 Mahabhutas. There are basically 6 tastes. They are sweet, sour, salt, bitter, pungent, and astringent. There is specific action for each taste, both at the levels of the taste buds and in the body. We have removed 2 tastes in our day-to-day food, that is bitter and astringent, and have been concentrating only 3 of the remaining 4 tastes. And moreover, the intensity of pungent or spicy taste in Malaysian recipes is directly proportional to the number of chilies, and it has to be regulated.
Really, doctor? What is the degree of spiciness do you suggest?
That is an interesting question. If you're able to eat your food only with a few sips of plain water in between, that is the correct spiciness. If you're able to pass your stools on the next day without any constipation or burning sensation or diarrhea, then it is the correct spiciness. How do you take your nasi lemak or your beef burger? If you are in a restaurant, you will always order some drink which is ice cold and sweet along with it, like Milo ice, coffee ice, etc. You unknowingly do this to neutralize the heat of that spicy sambal or that of the beef patty in the burger. But the result is you will be suffering from gastritis, inflammatory bowel disease or hemorrhoids or anal fissure or any types of cancer in the digestive system.
Does spicy food cause so many disease? I have not thought about it so far. What about the sweet taste, doctor?
Sweet taste is very conducive to the body according to Ayurveda, and by that Ayurveda means the natural sugars or sweets in the food articles and not artificial sweetness. Among the food articles we use daily, sweet taste is seen in rice, wheat, green gram, barley, honey, ghee or clarified butter, animal fats, sugarcane and its products, milk, raisins, dates, banana, coconut, jackfruit and most of the fruits and some of the millets. Since our staple food is rice and wheat, there is no need to add more processed sweetness to the meal.
What should I focus on the way of eating, doctor?
The act of eating is very important. As mentioned earlier, it should be at the right time. Right time does not represent your lunch hour. It means after you experience the signs of proper digestion of the previous meal. The next one is mindful eating. Many of you would have heard of mindful living, but Ayurveda stresses upon this mindful eating so much. Mindfulness is the awareness and acceptance of the present moment. Mindful eating paves way for the appreciation of the food you eat, slowing down the thoughts and being tuned to your body while having food will have greater positive effects. This means no gadgets, no small talks, no discussions while having food either at home or at office. Food should not be taken very fast or very slow. Never abuse or disrespect the food you take. You should be thankful for having what is on your plate. Food should be consumed along with necessary condiments and with proper equipment. There is an interesting fact about the order of eating food. So tell me, what is the order in which you eat your food?
Usually, I will have some warm, spicy soup at the beginning of the food, followed by the main dish, and finish off with some desserts or fruits.
There you are. It is not the order that Ayurveda advocates. It is simply opposite of your order of eating that Ayurveda deems to be healthy. The first part of the meal should comprise of things that have sweet taste. Fruits are to be taken at the initial part of your meal and never at the last. Prepared sweets like Indian payasam or kesari or Malaysian delights like appam belly, binga ubi should be eaten in the first part. This should be followed by the main course in which rice or wheat-based foods occupy the center. The main Malaysian staple foods are nasi putih, nasi lemak, mee or mihu or kuih teo, etc. Nowadays, it has changed over to roti and its various versions. It is better to avoid refined or bleached flour-based roti as the first choice of your food. Even in the main course, take sweet and tangy vegetables or meat curries in the first part, followed by the spicy curries. Eggs can be had in the first part of the main course. In the last part, you can drink a glass of Indian rasam or very light vegetable or chicken soup. By following this order, you can ensure that you are not overeating, that your food gets digested properly, and that your food does not harm you.
So, all these times I have been doing it all wrong? If I take sweets, desserts in the first part of the meal, will I be able to take the main course?
Taking sweet dishes in right quantity in the first part of the meal will refresh and replenish you immediately. It will soothe the taste buds and prepares your stomach for the arrival of the main course. To sum up, the order of eating is: first, dishes with sweet taste like fruits or desserts, followed by the main course of rice, wheat and pulses like moong dal with different vegetables and animal proteins of sour, salt, bitter and pungent tastes, and end up with spicy and astringent articles like rasam or thin soups.
Are there any things to do after eating?
After eating, the maximum physical activity you can do is to walk about 100 steps. I have seen people going for a brisk walk after eating, especially after a heavy meal. That is one of the causative factors for inflammatory arthropathies according to Ayurveda. I have also seen people taking bath after their food. Ayurveda says that this will lead to chronic indigestion, which is the root cause of constipation, malabsorption, and hemorrhoids. And please do not sleep immediately after taking food. You can recline and rest, but do not sleep, especially after lunch. Day sleep is indicated to all people only during summer and not in other seasons. In other seasons, people who are aged, weak, exhausted, debilitated, and young children alone can sleep during the day.
I have been counting the number of factors, doctor. We have completed only 7. What is the 8th factor?
The 8th factor is you or the user. Of the 8 factors that determine the action of the food, the user or the eater is of great importance. He is the one who will be enjoying the good and bad effects of whatever he does or eats. All the above 7 factors are dependent on him. It is the responsibility of the individual to know what he eats, when and how he eats, where he eats, with whom he eats, and what is the state of his body and mind while eating. The first thing the user has to understand is about his body, his digestive capacity, called as Agni in Ayurveda. A health conscious person has to be watchful of 5 things to start with. 1. What is the level of his appetite? 2. How his body responds to a particular type of food. 3. Whether there is a comfort or discomfort from the food he had eaten. 4. After how many hours he develops a strong hunger for the next meal. And 5. What is the quality of his bowel movement on the next day? You can have a food journal and record the 5 responses for each meal for about 4 weeks. By this time, you would have tried many varieties of food, and from the journal, you can understand your digestive capacity. Or else, you can seek the help of an Ayurvedic physician who will guide you after a consultation. You or the user have to consider your Agni and the digestive capacity and above factors before eating. If you do that, your food will definitely be your medicine.
Doctor, in this presentation on food as medicine, I expected to see the list of healthy vegetables, fruits, types of rice, cooking, etc. But you have mentioned only about Ayurvedic rules of eating so far.
Yes, I did expect that people will be waiting for the list of good and bad food articles when we say your food is your medicine. Ayurveda says a healthy food can become a poison if you are taking it in the improper way. People will find more information on healthy food articles everywhere. But if you are not taking it judiciously, considering what we have seen so far, then it is vain. That is why I focused on Ayurvedic principles of diet and eating. Not to disappoint you, we have a small section on the articles advised by Ayurveda as a good food.
Let us talk about cereals first, doctor. What does Ayurveda say about cereals?
Rice and wheat are the main cereals we use in our diet. Ayurveda considers both of them as good for regular use as staple food. Rice. Rice is the first grain that has been mentioned among the food articles in Ayurvedic classics. There are many varieties of rice and their properties will differ accordingly. Basically, Ayurveda does not demonize rice. For the increase in the percentage of lifestyle disorders like diabetes, cancer, or cardiac diseases, the type of rice we use and the way we cook and eat rice are to be blamed, and not the rice itself. Type of rice. It is said that Freshly harvested grains are more nourishing in nature and are hard to digest. They increase kapha or the internal moisture, which are predisposing factors for diabetes, etc. The rice, which is an year old, is lighter to digest and does not increase kapha. It is sufficiently nourishing and satisfying in nature. A type of rice called as Raktashali or red rice is said to be the best. The unpolished ones with the bran have a red tinge to them. The unpolished rice has more selenium, more iron, and more fiber to them when compared to the polished ones. So, when you select the rice, make sure it is unpolished or semi polished and is old. Cooking of the rice. 1 pot of washed and soaked rice has to be cooked with 14 times of water. When the rice is cooked, the supernatant excess water has to be drained. Only the cooked rice has to be eaten. In this method, we are eliminating the excess carbohydrate that has dissolved in water from the rice. Sometimes this drained liquid itself is used as a complete food. Wait a minute. How do you cook in the rice cooker?
I think in rice cooker we add sufficient water to cook the rice and not excess.
See, the water is completely absorbed by the rice and there is nothing to be filtered or drained out. Here, you are consuming carbohydrate double that of decanted rice, that is 2 times your meal. This excess glucose is what you should be afraid of. And that is one of the reasons why people are blaming that rice is causing diabetes.
Next, what about wheat, doctor?
Wheat is also regarded as a very healthy cereal as per Ayurveda. Wheat or gotuma, as it's called in Sanskrit, is said to be sweet in taste.
What is the ideal method to consume wheat, doctor?
How do you take wheat in your meal?
I usually take it in the form of breads, sometimes as flatbreads or chapatis.
Taking bread regularly is not healthy as per Ayurveda. Bread involves the processes of fermentation of the dough followed by baking it in very high temperature. Both of these processes are not considered healthy as per Ayurveda. The same processes are involved while preparing dosha or idli also. These dishes also have to be avoided for regular use.
Could you please explain about millets?
The common millets are ragi or finger millet, bajra or pearl millet. Millets are useful in people with overweight, diabetes and high cholesterol levels. But you should know the proper method of using millets. The millets should be soaked for about 8 hours before any cooking. This cooking will dissolve the heavy fiber and remove phytates, phytic acids and other anti-nutrient portions from the millets and make it suitable for consumption. The ideal thing would be to use millets twice a week.
How about the proteins in the meal, doctor? What is Ayurveda's call on that?
Of all the plant-based proteins, pulses are considered as the best source. The correct method of using pulses like green gram, horse gram, chickpeas, peas and beans are to soak them overnight for about 8 to 10 hours. As I mentioned earlier, this soaking will remove the entire anti-nutrient portion in the pulses, initiates the breaking down of complex components into simple and absorbable ones. On the next day, they can be cooked by adding salt and spices like ginger and cumin. This is the right method of cooking pulses and this will ensure that you get all the absorbable forms of protein easily. Ayurveda says that green gram or the green moong dal is the best among the pulses. It is one among the articles for daily use. So, try to include green gram as much as possible or at least 3 times a week.
So, can I have multiple protein health drink?
This is another important thing. Avoid the use of different pulses in the same meal. For example, many people use Navadhanya mixture for preparing health drink thinking that it is healthy. But you have to understand that the composition of each pulse or cereal is different and they need different hours to undergo digestion inside the human body. You should not mix them together. You can prepare dishes out of each pulse or cereal separately every day.
What about meat?
As I said earlier, Ayurveda does not say that meat has to be avoided. Ayurveda says that heavy meats of animals like sheep, cow, buffalo, pig should not be eaten regularly as they are very hard to digest. Fish should not be taken regularly because of its nature to vitiate blood and cause skin diseases. And also, those meats that have been dried should not be had regularly. And these are the restrictions because of the nature of the meat and problems in digesting them. But the flesh of goat is said to be identical to the human tissue, and hence it is considered to be beneficial for regular use. Flesh of birds like hen and small animals like that of rabbit can be had regularly. There is a general principle in using meat. See, the use of meat should be based on the nature of your work and the state of your digestive capacity. If your work involves much physical activities like lifting weights, and if your appetite is strong, you can have meat regularly. If you have an office job without much physical activity, you could cut down your animal proteins. Start replacing the animal proteins in your dinner with plant proteins like green gram soup. This would be a healthy alternative. Then you can go meatless for a complete day once a week. Plant proteins are easily assimilated by the human body.
What about fruits, doctor?
Fruits have to be taken in the first part of the meal. They should not be had at the end of the meal like the way we are having them nowadays. The whole fruits are better than the juices for the reasons you already know. People are interested to take many fruits together like a fruit salad. Similar to the cereals, every fruit has its own goodness and has its own time for digestion. So avoid taking the combination of fruits and go with one or two types of fruits at one time. Draksha or grapes is considered as the best among the fruits. Pomegranate is also considered as the fruit for regular consumption according to Ayurveda. And remember, fruits, especially the sour ones, should not be mixed with milk. If you have been taking strawberry milkshake, say no to it hereafter. This is because there will be an incompatibility when you have them together. It is always advisable not to mix milk and fruits. Fruits which are whole, seasonal and locally grown are to be taken at the first part of the meal.
Doctor, from your talk earlier, we know that spiciness is not healthy. What does Ayurveda tell about the spices?
Spiciness is one among the 6 tastes and it is different from the spices that we use. Ayurveda advocates the use of spices in food as well as medicine. You know, there are many Ayurvedic medicines that contain spices as the important ingredient. Among the spices, the good ones for regular use are ginger, turmeric and black pepper. Including them in your cooking regularly will give you the regular dose of their active ingredients, which is safe and easily absorbable by the body.
I didn't know about this many details on food, doctor. Now I think I have an idea why Ayurveda says medicine is of no need when your food is right. But still, doctor, I'm not sure where to start as I don't cook my food often. Could you please help me with my first step?
Sure, let us take 5 small steps. 1. If you are unable to cook at home, concentrate on the way you eat. Eating mindfully without any distraction from the gadgets should be the first change to make. This is an easy change that does not require any change in your routine. Mindful eating is simple, cost-free experience that can enrich your health. Second, try making healthier choices. Choose a portion of fresh fruits instead of that second piece of fried chicken wing. Any new practice has to be continued for at least 3 weeks to start seeing the benefit. Continue all the small changes sincerely and you can witness the cumulative effects of your habits. 3. Eat only 3 times a day, maximum. Stop all the snacking in between or drinking beverages in between. Wait for a strong appetite and then have your food. You can drink water when you're thirsty. Take only warm water as your side drink. 4. Stop reheating the dishes. Ayurveda prohibits the reheating, saying that reheated foods are like poison. Get things fresh or start cooking simple dishes. 5. The most important one. Take responsibility of your health. Your health should be your priority, and for that, you have to listen to your body and make right eating choices. Implement these changes slowly and steadily. Small changes will have bigger benefits in the long run, and you will realize that your food is your medicine. And if you want to know more about Ayurveda and Ayurveda services in the Malaysian government hospitals, please watch our previous videos. Thank you.
Hope you find this video helpful to start your healthy lifestyle. Jai Hind.